Mike Ricker with Crash of Rhinos Painting, and today we're talking about garage door trim and the replacement of it. So we're at a home here in Peoria, Arizona, and this house actually has a western exposure. And this trim here, which in this house actually happens to be an older piece of wood with the rubber stripping right in here, it's actually a single piece. Especially with south and western exposure homes, this can really get beaten up. So it's actually held up pretty good for how old it is, but it is also time to get that replaced. So we're going to show you the process for doing that. A couple of things as we do this. These videos are really not intended to be used as a do-it-yourself. You certainly can if it's helpful for you, but it's really more for our customers so they understand the process that we use as we replace these items. So I have Kyle here, one of my crew leaders, that's going to be showing us how that's done. So we'll get to it in just a moment. All right, we're back. Going to show you just a little bit of a close-up of this before we get started. So again, it is this wood piece with the rubber. That's actually a single piece in there. And I've got Kyle here. He's going to go ahead and get started. The first part of this process is he's actually going to take a blade and cut right along the line. Normally there's a caulking in there, but right along the line where that trim is meeting the stucco. And the reason we give that a cut right in there is it helps to minimize. We're always going to have a little bit of stucco damage when we pull these off, because that trim is just stuck to it. And then the goal of that is it'll just help minimize that a bit. So we're gonna go ahead and watch him do that all the way along there. We'll be back in just a minute as he starts to remove that trim. All right, the next step is we're gonna take this little cat's paw. You can use screwdrivers, anything that really is just gonna get in there. We're just going to start prying that away. You can see where, again, where we cut it, it helped, but there is a very minor amount of damage. All that gets repaired as we put on the new trim. And he's going to take this all the way off. So as this comes down, you can see that rubber piece is starting to come loose there. On these wood pieces, these are older. They don't actually make it really in wood anymore, not that we've been able to find. It's actually a composite that is used now. So we'll come back when all of this is off. All right, so we've removed all of the old trim from here. Now the next step is we're going to come back and we are going to begin to scrape all of this old caulking, and if there is excess stucco that's on the inside, we want to get all that off and cleaned up so we have a nice tight fit for the new trim pieces to go on there. We're going to make a little note as we get down here. You'll see this may be hard to see, but there's a little bit of a furring strip right in there. On this house, it actually goes down all the way to the bottom, which is what is preferred, but is rarely done actually in newer homes now. Normally it stops about 3 or 4 inches up right there. And we have to use, and we'll still use it on this job, we're going to use a strong bonding adhesive down there to make sure that that strip stays in there, because sometimes if there is no wood strip there, the nails that we use will not stay in there. So we'll be back once we have completely cleaned up this area. We're back. We've completed the cleanup, removing all the little loose caulking around there. This garage door was previously, before this video, pressure washed. You actually can see where some of that chalking and that other paint has come off there. So what we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna paint about a 2 to 3 inch strip right around the edge where that new trim is gonna lay down on. Now it's a little hard to see, it's kind of closer to that same color. We only will paint behind the weather stripping, or correction, on that trim if we are replacing it. If we are not replacing the trim, so we don't do this on about a quarter of our jobs because the homeowners don't want it or need it, we will not paint behind there, because that wet paint will just turn kind of a blackish color as it moves up and down there, so it doesn't have time to dry appropriately. Nor do we paint in between the panels of garage doors. So we're gonna get a nice 2 to 3 inch little strip along there, all the way around the door. I'm gonna let that dry for a couple hours, and then we will be back to install the new trim. All right, that paint has completely dried, and what Kyle has done is measured the top first. So we always start from the top and then go down the sides. So he's got this one ready to cut. We've measured it, and we don't measure the sides. We don't measure those sides until after the top piece has been put on, because there is about a quarter to a half inch extra on there. And we're just gonna use an electric nail gun here with some finishing nails. And what we do is just get it essentially tacked up first, is what we call it. So it's important to get it an appropriate distance from the garage door frame. You don't want it too tight nor too loose. So we just want to get a few of them in there. So we'll let him get that finished up. He'll get one of those other sides on, and then we'll show you how we finish it up from there. All right, we're back getting this left side of this garage trim on. So the top has been tacked down. We'll get these finishing nails in here about halfway down. And again, this is just to hold it in place. And then we're going to use a product, show us that product there, Kyle. It's called Loctite Power Grab. So it's just a heavy duty construction adhesive. And again, as I get down in there, you're gonna see that this actually has a little wood furring strip down there. That's kind of unusual on these houses that they have that. Normally it stops right where the stem wall does. We're still gonna put this Power Grab on there because this is the most common place where a trim will fail, is down at the bottom. It kind of starts peeling up. So this helps to prevent that from happening. We'll also nail it now that we actually do have wood that we can put it onto in there. So he's gonna get that tacked down. Then he's gonna go, you know, every maybe 4 or 5 inches or so, and finishing the tacking down of the sides and the top. And then we'll come back and caulk that in, let it dry, and we'll be ready for painting. All right, so we've finished getting everything tacked down. Now we're just gonna put a bead of caulk right down that line. We'll get it actually then kind of pushed in there. We'll do that along all the sides and in the cracks where the pieces meet. And then we're going to let this we're going to let this caulking dry in this trim. And this is all done in the phase where we're doing prep on the house, and then this garage door will be painted afterwards. It's typically a day or two after this caulking is done, depending on the length of the project. So we'll be right back with a final word. All right, so that is the process that we use to replace garage door trims on homes. You can see it's a little hard to see because the color is pretty close, but we have brand new, nice looking trim on here. It's a high quality product, painted behind it. Part of the reason we're able to do that is because that trim is off. And if that garage door shifts at all in the future, you won't have a little white line showing right there. So it really helps to be able to do that process this way. Great looking product. If you have any questions about a painting project or things like this, replacing garage door trim, feel free to give us a call at Crash of Rhinos Painting. Our direct line is 602-540-7471. Thanks and have a great day.